Welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 7, Solve Rational Equations Practice Problems. Okay, identify all values of x that make the equation true. So now we have to solve. And we remember from the lesson, we cross multiply. I think we did this one in the practice problems. Okay, so we distribute. We get 2x squared minus 4x plus 1x minus 2 equal to x. We get 2x squared minus 3x minus 2 equal to x. We subtract x from both sides. We get 2x squared minus 4x minus 2 equal to 0. We're going to factor out a 2. We get x squared minus 2x minus 1 equal to 0. This trinomial is not easily factorable. You should have learned the quadratic formula last year in Algebra 1. And I'm not sure if you guys know it. I'm going to show it to you because there's no factors of 1 that add to 2, especially when the signs are different. So this is not going to work. To find a trinomial that's not factorable, we use the quadratic formula, where x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, in a trinomial, a is first, b is second, c is third, and we're only talking about the numbers, not the letters, just the numbers. There's no number in front of a letter. The number is 1. So we got negative of negative 2 plus or minus negative 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 1, all over 2 times a, which is 1. So you get 2 plus or minus 4 plus 4 all over 2. 2 plus the square root of 8 over 2, comma, 2 minus the square root of 8 over 2. Okay, so if you do know how to do this, if you learned this in Algebra 1, maybe this is as far as you've gotten. But if you went any further, if you know how to simplify your radicals, I don't have a space for it here, but the next line becomes 2 plus 2 root 2 over 2, 2 minus 2 root 2 over 2. And this becomes 1 plus root 2, 1 minus root 2. We're going to talk about this in the next unit. Maybe you know how to simplify radicals. Maybe you know the quadratic formula. But this is just extra stuff we'll do next unit. So I'll explain it then. Okay, so let's look at problem B. So to solve it, we cross multiply. So we know what numbers don't work. X equals negative 2 will not work. X equals positive 1 will not work. If we get these, they are not solutions. So let's see. X minus 1 equals 2 times the quantity x plus 2. If I distribute, I get 2x plus 4 is equal to x minus 1. I'm going to add 1 to both sides because I like my numbers on the right and my variables on the left. I subtract 2x from both sides. I get negative 1x is equal to 5. When I solve an equation, my coefficient must be positive 1. This is not. So what I'm going to have to do is divide by negative 1 on both sides. I get a positive 1x to the first power is equal to negative 5. And this is my answer since it does work. Okay, for C, I'm going to cross multiply again. I get x plus 3, x plus 2 is equal to 1 minus x, x plus 1. All right, so distributing x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6 is equal to x plus 1 minus x squared minus x okay. I get x squared plus 5x plus 6 is equal to x and negative x cancel out, so I get 1 minus x squared. If I add x squared to both sides, I get 2x squared plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 1. I'm going to subtract 1. I get 2x squared plus 5x plus 5 is equal to 0. Now my factors of 5 are 1 and 5. This is going to be goofy to, it's not easy to simplify. Okay, so I could use the quadratic formula here. So let's see. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times 5 all over 2 times 2 gives me negative 5 plus or minus 25 minus 8 times 5 is 40. This is going to be negative. This is no solutions here. So we don't get real numbers out of this one. This has no solutions. All right. We'll talk about this in Unit 3. You should learn the quadratic formula in Algebra 1. If the discriminant that's under the square root is less than 1, if it's negative, you get no solutions. Okay, for D, cross multiplying again, x plus 2 times x plus 2 equals x plus 8. X squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 equals x plus 8. X squared plus 4x plus 4 equals x plus 8. Subtracting x, subtracting 8, subtracting x, subtracting 8 gives me x squared plus 3x minus 4 equal to 0. My factors of 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. 4 and 1 subtracted make 3. So my numbers are x and 4 and x and 1. All I got to do is figure out the signs. The larger sign is positive. This means they have different signs. So I get x plus 4 equals 0. Set them equal to 0 separately. X minus 1 equal to 0. Subtract 4. X is equal to negative 4. X is equal to 1. Now, let's see if they work. X cannot be negative 2. X cannot be negative 8. Negative 8. It cannot be. So, negative 4 and 1 both work as solutions. Okay, so Quran is solving for X, and he uses his steps. But unfortunately, Quran makes a mistake. Now, what this book does is show a more complicated method of cross multiplying. What they want you to do is make the denominators the same. So when you have x minus 1 on one side, and that's equal to x times x minus 1, they want you to multiply by the same thing. x times x minus 1 on both sides. X times x minus 1 on both sides. I would not teach you to do that method because it's more complicated. It's far easier just to cross multiply. So if we ignore this line where Quran made a mistake, because it's very likely with the type of math that they're using. If I do 2x minus 3 times x minus 1 and set that equal to 2 times x minus 1, we get a far different thing. And what I can do here is divide out x minus 1 since it's the same factor on both sides. We didn't learn this, and I didn't teach it this way, but this is what you could do. And your second line should be 2x squared minus 3x is equal to 2. That should go here. This is where Quran made his mistake. This should be an x, and that should be an x. This should not work. This does not work. That's where his math is wrong. This problem is a little bit more complicated than what we did. I wish I had time to practice this, but I don't.